What's going on, everybody? I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller. Happy Friday. So guys, we're gonna go ahead and preemptively turn on the snob alert right there because pretty much once a month I have to say or do something that offends the more sensitive watch enthusiasts. So if you're out there, you've been warned. It's 3:40 p.m. Let's get down to business. All right, guys, so it is Friday. It is time for a T3 watch rant. And again, at the risk of being labeled a snob, I'm gonna make a pretty bold statement today. Your Tudor is not a Rolex. And listen, guys, it shouldn't be, okay? You're actually dissing Tudor by claiming it's essentially Rolex. Like, why can't your Tudor be a solid, impressive watch aside from the fact that it's owned by Rolex? For instance, Grand Seiko and Seiko, they share the same ownership, but they're very different brands with very different products. Or let's take it one step further, okay? Kind of in a different realm here, but Volkswagen and Lamborghini, again, they share the same ownership, but they're very different brands with very vastly different products. Now, I get it, okay? People that are in the market for a Volkswagen probably aren't in the market for a Lamborghini. But see, here's where it gets interesting, okay? Judging by my inbox, a lot of people that are shopping for their first Rolex actually do ask me a lot of questions about Tudors and vice versa. So why are we even comparing Rolex and Tudor today? Well, as many of you know, Rolex does own Tudor, and once upon a time, their watches were almost indistinguishable, right? They had a lot of similarities. There were Rolex dates, and there were Tudor oyster dates. There were even Rolex Submariners and Tudor Submariners. And honestly, the similarities go further than just the names of their watches. I mean, most of them shared the same oyster cases. But for one moment, let's talk about movements. So throughout history, Rolex has almost exclusively used Eigler movements in their watches. Now, Eigler was a watch movement manufacturer that way back when reached an agreement with Rolex stating that they could only make movements for Rolex watches only. So I know it's technically not in-house, but come on, they can't make movements for anyone else, so it's essentially an in-house movement for Rolex. And then on the flip side of that, up until fairly recently, Tudors were usually powered by a Valjoux or an ETA movement. So okay, throughout the years, there's been some definite similarities and differences between Rolexes and Tudors. Now, I think it's pretty obvious that Rolex clearly has much more brand equity than Tudor, right? I mean, more people know about the Rolex name versus the Tudor name, and that's why Rolexes hold a bit more value and they can fetch much higher prices on the secondary market. But enough history, okay? Enough information. The point of this episode isn't really to compare Tudor and Rolex, it's to get something off my chest. I get people very regularly telling me that they're gonna buy a Tudor because it's essentially a poor man's Rolex. Okay, not only is that kind of a diss, it's not even an accurate statement or a logical purchase. If the only reason you want a Tudor is because it's related to Rolex, then you obviously just want a Rolex. And hear me out, okay? Tudor isn't a poor man's anything. Tudors aren't cheap. If you have the means to spend a few $1,000s on a Tudor, you're not poor. And again, if you have the means to spend a few $1,000s on a Tudor watch, then you can probably have a little bit more patience, save up a tiny bit longer, and buy a Rolex. If that's what you want. And hear me out, guys, hear me out. I know I'm getting chewed up in the comment section. Someone is typing angrily, you're assuming that everybody likes Tudor because they're related to Rolex. I love my Tudor Black Bay, and it's not because it's related to Rolex. I hate Rolex! I almost passed out. Whew. Listen, please, on more than one occasion, I've mentioned that I do not really like the Tudor Black Bay. There aren't very many Tudors that I like. I love the Tudor North Flag. I think that's the only Tudor I would personally own, but I see the appeal of the Black Bay, okay? I do. I mean, listen, Tudor offers modern watches with definite vintage styling. I mean, we're talking sub 40mm cases, zero crown guards. They look really nice. They're just not for me. So guys, in conclusion, all I am saying is if you want a Tudor, buy a Tudor. But if you want a Rolex, don't buy a Tudor. I think that's a pretty reasonable statement. But what do I know, guys? I am just a snob. So let me know in the comment section, how snobby am I? But all jokes aside, seriously, let me know what you think, guys. I'd love for you to leave me a comment and we can kind of continue this conversation in the comment section. So I will see you there. So there you have it, guys. This was a fun little Friday T3 watch rant. I will see you tomorrow for Saturday's Q&A where I drink my Vietnamese coffee and converse with you guys. I look forward to that all week. I have a ton of fun, so I will see you there as well. And as always, I want to thank you so much for checking out the Time Teller shop. I had new watches and watch accessories to that store daily, so please click the link in the description below. Shop around, helps the channel out a ton when you do that, so thank you. And if you're new here, if this is your first time joining us here at the Time Teller channel, I want to say thank you so much for stopping by. Go ahead, click that subscribe button. It takes 1 second, helps me out a ton, and while you're at it, you can go ahead and click that little bell icon so you do not miss an episode of the Time Teller. There's just so much more awesome content on the way, and you don't want to miss it. I'm telling you guys, please like, comment, and subscribe. Share us with other watch enthusiasts, other people that you think would enjoy this. I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller, and always remember, I didn't invent time. I just tell it. And before you go, guys, just wanted to share with you what I am wearing on the wrist today. As if I couldn't be any more snobby, I chose to wear a Rolex in this episode. Oh, the audacity of this guy. But yeah, I'm wearing my Rolex Explorer 2 16570, and yeah, love this watch. But what do I know? I am just a snob.